everyone. I'm going to start recording post tests with work. You can see on the screen, I have 9.4's post test up, a calculator, and then a notepad. I'm going to trace any notes that I have. So I'm going to get started. So this first question says to find the shaded area and to use 3.14 as the approximate value of pi. Okay, one thing to note for this question is that the shape that we have here is a semicircle. So what I'm going to do first is find the area of the total semicircle. Okay, so area of a circle is pi r squared. Okay, but that's a full circle. So to find the area of the semicircle, we're going to have to take this full circle and then divide it by 2. Okay, so again, it says to do 3.14 as pi. So I'm going to do 3.14 times, my radius here is listed as 9 centimeters. So times 9, and because I'm squaring it, I'm multiplying it by itself twice, and I'm going to take that number and divide it all by 2. Okay, so in my calculator, doing 3.14 times 9 times 9 equals, and I'm going to take that number and divide it by 2, and I get 127.17. Okay, that is the area of the full semicircle, but we just want this shaded region, which means we have to get rid of the area of this triangle to get the two shaded regions here in blue. So now I'm going to find the area of the triangle, and the area of a triangle is base times height divided by 2. Okay, my base is 18, my height is the 9, and I'm dividing that by 2. Going in my calculator, 18 times 9 divided by 2 is 81. Okay, so the area of the triangle is 81. That would be centimeters squared. The area of the full circle is 127.7. So now I'm going to subtract the 81 from the 127.7. So now I'm taking this, subtracting 81 from it. It's 127.17 minus the 81, and that is 46.17. But we have to look at how it wants it rounded. It says a whole number or decimal rounded to the nearest tenth. This is hundredths. This is the tenths place, so I'm really looking at the 7. So this would round to 46.2, and that is centimeters squared. Okay. Moving on. The next question is just asking to find the length of the radius. It gives me a circle, and it gives me this measurement. This measurement happens to be the diameter. So to find the radius, it is just the diameter divided by 2, or half the diameter. So I'm going to take my diameter and divide it by 2. So 18.7 divided by 2 is 9.35. And this one says round to the nearest hundredth if needed. This is to the hundredths place, so there is no rounding needed. 9.35 is the exact answer there. Okay, next question is somewhat similar, where it's asking for the diameter. I'm just going to clear out what I've done. Okay, it's asking for the diameter here. Or excuse me, it's giving me the diameter, it's asking for the radius. So, taking my diameter, in this case it's 11.1, dividing it by 2, and that will give me my radius. Okay, 5.55. Okay, unit of a radius will just be the same unit as the diameter. It's just centimeters, or whatever unit you have here. Okay, now that I have the radius, also it doesn't want you to round. So if you get a decimal, don't round it, the exact. Now it's asking for the circumference of the circle. So the circumference formula is 2 pi r. Okay, it does say to use 3.14 for pi. So I'm going to substitute in 2 times 3.14 times my radius, which I found in part 1 there, minus 5.55. Okay, so I'm doing 2 times 3.14 times 5.55. And I get 34.854. It does say round to the nearest hundredth, so that's 2 decimal places. My 5 is in the hundreds place. I'm really looking at the 4. 4 is below 5, so it's going to stay 34.85 as the circumference. Circumference, just like radius and diameter, is just centimeters. Okay, just centimeters there for circumference. But now we're trying to find the area. Area of the circle is pi r squared. Again, using 3.14 for pi. My radius is 5.55, but I have to square it, so I'm multiplying it by itself. So 3.14 times 5.55 times 5.55. And here I get 96.71985. Round to the nearest hundredth again. So again, the 1 is in the hundredths place, but the 9 tells me that 1 needs to round up. So it'll be 96.72. Okay, 96.72. And because it's area, this will be centimeters squared. Okay, and that problem is done. Okay, what's going on here? Oh, this is the question. Okay, find the shaded area. Note that this exercise contains a semicircle. Use 3.14 as the approximate value of pi. Okay. So we have a semicircle. So this is very similar to one of those other problems where we have a semicircle, not a full circle. So to find the area here, a full circle is pi r squared. But because it's a semicircle, which is half a circle, I'm going to have to divide it by 2. Again, it says to use 3.14. So 3.14. My radius here is this 3 inches. So multiplying it by 3 times 3, and then dividing it by 2. So 3.14 times 3 times 3 divided by 2 is 14.13. It says round to the nearest tenth. So 1 is in the tenths place. The 3 tells me keep it as a 1. So 14.1 inches squared is the area of that semicircle. And the whole semicircle is shaded, which is why we're taking the whole area there. Okay, next question. Another circle that's giving me the diameter. Okay, it's asking for circumference and the area. Okay, so just clear up my space here. So circumference is 2 pi r. Now, 2 pi r, if you notice this, it has this 2r in it. It's really like 2r pi, but 2r is the same thing as the diameter, because twice the radius is the diameter. So you can say this is the same thing as the diameter times pi. I already have the diameter, okay, but I am going to have to find the radius for the area question, so I'm just going to do that first. So I'm going to take my diameter and divide it by 2. Which is 4.8. So that is my radius. And now using the circumference formula, again it says use 3.14 instead of pi. So my circumference will be 2 times 3.14 times my radius. Or I could have done 2, excuse me, not 2. I could have done 3.14 times my diameter, which was the 9.6. Either way, these two things would get you the same answer. 2 times 3.14 times 4.8. Okay, that's 30.144. It says round to the nearest hundredth. This first 4 is in the hundredths place, so I'm looking at the second 4. That 4 is going to stay, so 30.14 is our rounded circumference. And now to find the area, I'm just going to clear up some space here. Okay, to find the area, area is pi r squared. Okay, my radius was 4.8. I can still see it here in my calculator. So this would be 3.14 times 4.8 times 4.8. Which is 72.3456. Again, round to the nearest hundredth. That's this 4, but the 5 is to the right, which means it's going to round up to 72.35 as the area there. Okay, this question. Find the circumference, find the area. One in terms of pi, one rounded to the nearest tenth. It doesn't say use 3.14. Okay, so we're going to have pi in our answer for the ones that says in terms of pi, in terms of pi. We're actually going to write pi in our answer, and then we're going to use the pi symbol. Now, I want to see if my calculator actually has it. Let's see if I change it to scientific. Okay, it's going to have pi in it. If you're using your phone calculator, you can just turn it sideways and you should see a pi symbol on your calculator. Okay, you can Google a calculator. I'm using my PC. This is a Windows 10, and it has a pi calculator. I had to just change it to a scientific option right on my computer. Okay, so it's asking for circumference and area. It's giving me the diameter, so I know that my radius is going to be half that. So taking the 12 dividing by 2, I know my radius is 6. So when I'm looking at the circumference formula, again, it wants it in terms of pi. So 2 pi r. So if I substitute, I'm going to leave pi as pi. It'd be 2 pi and then the 6, because that's my radius. Okay, this is all multiplication. Okay, order doesn't matter with multiplication, so we can multiply the 2 times the 6. So my circumference, not rounded in terms of pi, is just going to be 12 pi. So I'm typing that in. If you notice when I click this box, the pi symbol here popped up. So 12 pi, and because it's circumference, it's just the same unit as the diameter or the radius, just yards here for me. Okay, but now it wants the circumference rounded to the nearest tenth. So now I need to find exactly what this is. So in my calculator, I'm typing in 12 and then the pi button. Okay, that just showed me what pi is. Let's see if I hit equals. Okay, that didn't do it. Let me try this again. Clear. I'm going to hit the pi first and then multiply it by 12. And that did it. Okay, so I had to hit the pi symbol first and then multiply by 12. I just need it to the nearest tenth. I'm just going to write the first couple digits, 37.699. There's obviously more to it, but nearest tenth is the 6. So I'm looking at the 9, which will round it up to 37.7. And this will be yards as well. Okay, the next part is asking for the area. Okay, I know I'm clearing out my screen a lot, but just remember, because this is a video, you can pause it, you can go back, you can rewind, okay, whatever you need to do. So I just clear my paint so I can move on to the next question. Okay, this next question is asking for area, which is pi r squared. I know my radius is still 6, so just substituting in, it'll be pi times 6 times 6. Okay, my radius squared. 6 times 6 is 36, so this is 36 pi. And that, again, is the exact answer where it says in terms of pi. So 36 and then the pi symbol. Because this is area, this is square yards. And then, to find the rounded answer, I'm going to type that into my calculator. Again, I'm typing my pi button first and then multiplying it by 36. It's 113.0973, but rounded to the nearest tenth, that's the 0. But I'm looking at the 9, so that's going to round up to 113.1 yards squared. Okay, next question. Express the required calculation in terms of pi and then round to the nearest tenth. So we want the exact with pi and then the rounded. How much fencing is required to enclose a circular garden whose radius is 22 meters? Okay, the trick with this question is because we have a circle, okay, circular garden, so here's a circle, not an awful circle, but forgive me. We're talking about the fencing to enclose it. So the fencing to enclose it would be this outside distance, not filling it, but the distance around, which with circles, that is the circumference. So it's really asking what the circumference is. Again, the circumference formula is 2 pi r. It's giving me what the radius is in the question. I'm going to leave it in terms of pi because that's what it wants here in the first one. And 22 is my radius. Just like the last problem, you can multiply the 2 and the 22. So for me, my circumference will be 44 pi meters. Okay, because it's just the circumference. Okay, but now this wants the rounded answer. So again, I'm just going to put this into my calculator. I'm going to try doing this again. I'm going to do 44 times and then hit the pi button. Okay, yeah, definitely doesn't work that way. So I'm going to hit pi first, then multiply by 44. And I get 138.23007. It wants rounded to the nearest tenth. Again, that's why I'm not writing all those numbers. Rounded to the nearest tenth. The 2 is in the tens place. The 3 says keep the 2 at 2. So 138.2 is the approximate. And again, this is just meters. Okay, next question is find the cost of sod, $1.74 per square foot for the playing field pictured. use 3.14 for pi. Excuse me there. Okay, so we have this field. Now we have a couple shapes here, and we're talking about the cost of sod, okay, or grass. So this is talking about area. We need to fill this. We need to fill this with grass. So we're talking about the area here. So if we look at the shapes we have a rectangle here in the middle, a semicircle, and a semicircle. Okay, so if we take these two semicircles, which are the same size, then, and I know that even though it doesn't have the radius here, this is 16, okay, which is a diameter of a circle if you connect this, which means the radius here is still going to be 8, exactly what this one is. So these two semicircles are exactly the same, which means that they will make a full circle. Okay, and then we have a rectangle. So I need the area of a circle, just pi r squared, and it does say use 3.14 for pi. Okay, so of my semicircles, I know my radius is 8, it's telling me here, and it's half this. Okay, so my area here will be 3.14. My radius is 8, so times 8 times 8. Okay, putting this in the calculator, 3.14 times 8 times 8. This is 200.96. And I do not want to round this number yet. I don't want to round until the very end if I need to. So I'm keeping this as 200.96. That is the area of my circle. Okay, it's the two semicircles together, which is why I did not have to divide by 2 here. Okay, next I'm going to find the area of the rectangle. Area of a rectangle is just length times width. Okay, my length is 25 times my width, which is 16. So 25 times 16 is 400. So now I have my area of my rectangle and the area of my circle. These are my two areas, so I'm going to add them together. So I have 400, which is already in my calculator here, plus 200.96, and that is 600.96. So that is the total area, and this would be feet squared, of this playing field. But it's not asking for the area, it's asking how much it's going to cost if I want to sod it. Okay, this is how many square feet I have, and it's $1.74 per square foot. So I'm going to take this now and multiply it by the cost per 1 square foot, so I'm multiplying it by 1.74. Again, it's already stored in my calculator, my area, so I'm taking this and multiplying it by 1.74, and I get this 1045.6704. And again, this is why I said don't round it to the very end, because now we're rounding to the nearest cent, which is 2 decimal places, okay, to the nearest hundredth. So 7 is my hundredths, that's the nearest cent. It's a 0 after it, so it's going to stay a 7. So $1,045.67 is the approximate cost of sodding that field. Okay, next question, another word problem. We have a radio station is allowed by the FCC to broadcast over an area with a radius of 202 miles. How much area is this? Okay, so we can draw a little picture if you want. We have a little picture here. I'm not very artistic, but let's say this is the tower. Okay, it can broadcast, okay, with an area with a radius, which means it's broadcasting as a circle. Okay, it's kind of going off in all different directions. It's telling me the radius of the circle is 202 miles. So this is simply just asking for the area of a circle, which is pi r squared. It's giving us the radius. Okay. It also says use 3.14 for pi. So 3.14 times my radius, which is 202. I have to square it, so I'm multiplying it by itself. So my calculator, 3.14 times 202 times another 202. I get 128,124.56. This says round to the nearest hundredth if needed. I don't need to round here because this is already to the nearest hundredth. Again, that's 2 decimal places. Okay, I get asked a lot, do you need a comma when you type these? You do not, but if you accidentally hit a decimal instead of the comma, this should be a decimal point, this should be a comma. If you reverse it, it's going to mark it wrong. So just be careful when you type in your answer. Okay, I'm double checking, I'm looking at my calculator screen and looking at this, making sure it matches, which it does. Okay, next question, very similar to another one that we've seen. Just asking for circumference and area using 3.14 for pi. It's giving us the radius of the circle. Okay, radius is 2 pi r. So 2 times 3.14 times my radius, which is 9.5. So 2 times 3.14 times 9.5 is 59.66. It says round to the nearest tenth. This first 6 is in the tenths place, that is a decimal point there. So this 6 tells me this 6 needs to round up, so this will be 59.7. Okay, and then it's asking for area. So area is pi r squared, 3.14 times my radius, 9.5 times another 9.5. It's squaring it. Again, these are decimal points. Excuse me, I'm using a mouse to click here. So 3.14 times 9.5 times 9.5 is 283.385. But again, round to the nearest tenth. This 3 is in the tenths place. The 8 tells me the 3 needs to round up. So it'll be 283.4 square feet. And this should be the last question. Okay, Blaine Fenstad wants to buy a pair of two-way radios. Some models have a range of 2 miles under ideal conditions. More expensive models have a range of 6 miles. What is the difference in the area covered by the 2 mile and 6 mile models? First, draw a circle and label the radius or diameter, then solve the problem. Use 3.14 and round to the nearest tenth. Okay, so some have a 2 mile, some have a 6 mile. If we look at the drawing, okay, these two look exactly the same, even though it says 1 6 and 1 2, so it's obviously not choice A. If I look at choice B, this is 2 mile, this is 6 mile. 2 is less than 6, and this circle is bigger, so it can't be B. And looking at C, the 2 mile circle is smaller than the 6 mile circle, so it is choice C for me here. Okay, and now it's asking for the difference in the area, which means I need to find the area of both circles and then subtract them. Okay, so I'm going to find the area of the bigger circle first. Okay, area is pi r squared. It says use 3.14. So I'm going to do the radius of 6 first. Find that area. So 3.14 times 6 times 6. And that's 113.04. Again, I'm not going to round until the very end. So I'm leaving that as is. The area of the second circle, the smaller one, has a radius of 2. So 3.14 times 2 times 2. Again, you can say it's 3.14 times 4, but I'm just going to do it all out. This is 12.56. Again, I'm not rounding, but now it's asking for the difference. Difference means subtract. So now I'm taking my first area, 113.04, and subtracting it second area 12.56, and I get 100.48. 100.48 is my these emails. Okay, is my difference is the answer, but it says round to the nearest tenth. 4 is in the tens place, so the 8 tells me this is going to round up to 100.5 square miles. Okay, 100.5, and that should be the last question. Let's submit. I'm just going to make sure I did not make a mistake. Okay, so you have all the work for each question. Obviously, again, you'll have to change your numbers, but hopefully this was useful. I'm going to leave a comment and ask you guys to let me know if you like this, if this is useful, and we'll see how this goes. Okay, if we like this, I'll do it again for 9.5. Again, this post test is due tomorrow at 3 p.m. and that tomorrow is the 20th, March 20th.